Retired U.S. Air Force Brigadier General Blaine Holt joins me. Good evening, sir. And this is rather an alarming piece of information that the recruitment is going down, especially when we hear about sort of all the saber rattling around the world and threats to the U.S. So what's the problem here?
Well, great to be with you, Greta. Respectfully, I would say that the general missed a few elephants in the room. To back it up, though, we are already facing a very dry forest of kindling. When you start to look at over the last few decades, we don't teach civics in our schools anymore. History's gone, and physical fitness has really been lacking as video game culture has been rising. That just kind of sets the stage with where we got to at the end of Kabul. Kabul is a great military disaster for us, broke faith with a lot of our soldiers. You just talked about where we're at with Afghanistan right now. But when you add in a lot of the politicization of the military, woke culture, CRT, and this vax policy, which is ripping right through the forces in a very punitive way, it's very easy to understand the other elements of why people are not called to service when they see so much of this damage being done on the force right now.
Is it some of those sort of war fatigue? I mean, we've just come out of 20 years of Afghanistan, almost the same in Iraq. And if you go back to 9/11, after this country was hit, I mean, everybody wanted to join. Everyone wanted to participate because the country was under attack. So is it a little bit a combination of those two things, that if the country were really in danger, if we got attacked, that we might see that number of recruits balloon?
Well, the problem is that you can't just flex a force and train a force just because something bad happened in the country. It takes a long time to keep a very professional force with very high skill levels trained. To your question, though, we over 20 years have seen forces cycle and come and go to long cycle deployment schedules, and certainly this had wear and tear on the force. But where we were just 2 short years ago was the highest trained, most experienced combat force in the world, and the numbers are right there. This is a blow-up bubble. You couldn't just paint it for generalized war fatigue over time. That said, a militarized foreign policy is never a good thing for a sustained military.
Former Secretary of Defense Rumsfeld talked about being very nimble and trying to get a lighter force. In light of the way that our weapons have, in many times been reduced to a button someplace, and it's not like the boots on the ground. Do we really need the numbers that the military tells us we need?
So when we get those end strength numbers, we set up force structures for an array of mission sets. Already the Army is talking about over the next couple of years, if this trend continues, they may have to restructure. So we may have to modernize in a way that uses less forces, but warfare is going to remain a human endeavor, and it's not going to be replaced anytime soon by technological forces. It'll change, like when we saw drones come up. But the inputs to the system right now mean that we have to drop our standards. And if we lower the standards, then that's going to come out on the battlefield, also raises the cost of creating a soldier.
General Holt, thank you, sir.
Great to be with you.